Aloha. In this video, I wanted to kind of just breeze through these slides. They're in some kind of order that deals with time and how these systems have grown to be what they are today, and how we as the people within the system don't really recognize that the system is designed to maintain our focus and our consciousness to stay within the system, the math, the science, the destructive nature of the system, so that as long as you are staying within the systems, whether it's politics, democracy, so-called capitalism, that you don't expand your imagination or your consciousness outside of that enslavement program, so you can't do anything about it. So what's happening is you have programs that are out there to design to maintain that sort of effect. So something like flat Earth, as soon as it comes out, right off the bat, it's flat versus globe. It's childish, basically. It's like it's an adolescent approach, really. And I understand that, there's different approaches within this kind of thing. But what I'm saying overall, when you take a step back and realize that heliocentrism is not about being cool, it's not about being popular, it's not about the system taking flat Earth and doing something with it, and then that'll be changed. Like I had the other day, a person in the comment section say, what do you have against flat Earth? Don't you want to see the systems crash? As if when flat Earth goes mainstream, the system itself will crash. Is the math that simple? Do you think that these programmers are that simple? If you think that they are that simple, then their alchemy has worked on you. If you think that this program is that simple, then you are a result of their controlled opposition, and you are a result of their shrinking down your consciousness to that sort of thought process. And that's what I wanted to get into today in reference to like these crimes against nature, basically. So it's like crimes against consciousness, crimes against humanity, crimes against life, just the natural balances in this reality. Excuse me. The system is based upon pretty much just being gangster, just living off of like the criminal lifestyle, the pirate lifestyle. So like I feel a certain way when I talk about, like, I'm going to go through some slides that reference like racial sort of things in direct relation to society and this whole mainstream media reality. These are facts that exist. These are facts that exist. When I share historical facts about racism and all this other stuff, and I have kickback from people saying you should just get over this, it's all about humanity. You know how fucked up that is? Do you know how messed up that is to tell somebody to just move on? Do you really think that because you have some new age perspective of the world, that, or some religious perspective of the world, or even some flat earth perspective of the world, you really think that that is going to right all of the wrongs? You really think that perspective of Jesus will save everything, that perspective of flat earth will save everything, the perspective of humanity, don't talk about races, don't talk about historical facts dealing with races. No, it's all about humanity. Do you see how jacked up that is to say that to somebody? This is what we're dealing with now. It's not the people that are sending out these mind control programs from the tippy top of the pyramid. It's the people who accept those mind control programs and double down on those mind control programs and sell them back to their peers, their family members, and their people in society. So ultimately, nothing really changes. Nothing is going to change because people are doing the work for them, whether they're distracting for them, whether they're deflecting for them, or whether they're creating some kind of defense mechanism that has the same effect on people as the original intent does, the original effect does. These are very crafty entities. This is a very intelligent system that is out there, and you have to give it its due respect. If you think that they do not have some kind of system in place designed to co-opt the flat earth, in a sense, even saying co-opting the flat earth, even that's kind of off, because this time frame, this act has always been in line. Since heliocentrism came into being, they've been creating some kind of secondary measure. So if you can understand that, and you can understand that the system that generated this idea of heliocentrism back in the day, they had to said, you know what, they're not that naive. They had to have said, you know what, one day this shit's gonna come out, man. People are gonna find out what's going on, and they're just gonna be pissed off. And here we are 500 years later, and you have people who are not pissed off. They're wanting the people who lied to them in the first place to take whatever it is that they found and do something more with it. They want the system to grow. This is not about flat versus globe. This is not about Christianity versus Islam. This is not about Democrats versus Republicans. This is about the nature of the system, the nature of the people, the nature of the alchemy. And then by looking at the historical facts, you will see the nature of this system. You will trace the origins of this system. You will see its intent, and you will see the effects that it has had. If you ball everything up into some answer column of everything is human, everything is new age, everything is alien, you're all star seeds, we're all human, we're all the, when you start doing that, that is the most dangerous and destructive action that you can take in critically thinking about your reality. That's not critical thought. That's just another, that's no different than a gravity theory. That's just another theory. It's a fluffy theory or observation of your reality. Is it not true? Of course not. But it's so general, it's so basic, that just saying that as if that is your take on life makes it untrue, because it's not taking into account all of the other systems that are designed, that are within this intelligent design that we call existence, that we call life, that we call interaction, love, compassion, thought, that we call balances of nature, the experience as a whole. When you get into those complexities, you can't allow yourself to get into any kind of generalities and just allow that to be. That's the design of calling yourself, saying everything, race doesn't matter, history doesn't matter because we're all human. That's just like saying that don't hold the United States accountable for its actions on the people of the rest of the world, because they are the number one world. The United States are the number one country in the world. The United States, here in America, they call America, here in the United States, we are the most democratic. We are the most capitalist. We are the most free. And don't say anything about that. Don't question that. It's wrong. When actual fact, this system got to where it is because of its crimes against nature. So when people are out there saying, we need to just move on. It's pretty jacked up to hear that. But that's the norm. That's what's going on. And you have people, the most jacked up thing that I see is in the flat earth community. I won't name any names, but the biggest people that people are following around right here, they have all shared their perspective on like how I'm approaching flat earth. Because I have an approach towards flat earth. But they've all shared how they feel about it in their own way. And a lot of them are just like, oh, well, he's a little off because he's can't get over that race thing and all that other stuff. And that's because people have propped up flat earth like it's a damn superhero, like it's a fix-all. It's basically Jesus. It's like a Jesus for flat earth religion. Jesus is the flat earth itself. Once it goes mainstream, everything will be okay. That's what this mainstream kind of perspective, this light, happy-go-lucky ass, top brass perspective, that's the effect that it has on people. And what I'm saying is that you're not doing anything but setting up this system to go into the next layer of programming once they do co-opt it. What I'm saying is that there's not only, so there's many approaches that I have. The approach of, well, you have to be aware of what the system is doing, what their next moves will be. You also have to be aware of what the system has already done to you and your people, what that effect has on your soul, your mind, and your body, your psyche, your physical body, your genetics, your strength, your life force, your relationships, society as a whole. How has the system in the last 500 years affected us on every level? How's it affected us interacting? How's it affected the world? Once you realize that, then you can start to heal yourself because you're no longer subjecting yourself to the effects of that program. You've acknowledged it, you've cleared it, and you start to empower yourself by realizing that you are not limited by the systems that are put in place through the education system, through the mainstream society. You have a meaning and a purpose that is both individual and collective. And what's happening is that the system created this illusory version of collective movement and called it monkey evolution. They called it innovation. They called it the Big Bang. They called it gravity. They brought all this stuff together and said, look, this is what you should be paying attention to. This is what your universe, the fabric of your universe is. And we are the ones who discovered it, not the primitive and savage heathens. We did. We are the evolutionary peak of society, of humanity. We are actually the supreme race. We run this shit. That's what they're saying. That's why I said in the last video, that's diet white supremacy. Just because they don't go around saying, why do you think, you think that shit just disappeared? The KKK is still alive and well. Do you know what that represents? Not only that, their friends and family and peers are at the White House. They lighten it up by joking about it and telling you, by putting those characters on Saturday Night Live, by putting those characters in a cartoon on Stephen Colbert or late night talk shows. They lighten this shit up. That's how they make it diet. If they just sold you regular white supremacy, you'd burn the shit down immediately. If you were powerful, if you empowered yourself enough to. But they have to sell it to you light, like the Civil Rights Act, as if that did anything. It didn't do anything. So the new version of lightening up your system of dominance and control, taken to the extreme of white supremacy as a whole, and like I said, white is a is it's a mechanism. It's a thought form. It's not a people unless the people adopt those thought forms. Like I said, you don't have to be a white person to be a so-called white person to be a white supremacist. There's a lot of people out there that, by the numbers, activate more white supremacy programs than so-called white people. Non-white people do that in many ways. We just don't analyze it because it's too sticky. It's too, I don't want to talk about it. Why does he talk about this stuff? That's messed up to really be talking about. That's something that needs to be taken care of. And they're like, no. It's new. We have flat earth. Come on. We have a connection with the creator. We have a connection with aliens. We have a connection with this, a connection with that. We need to move on. You don't think that's the intent of this program? That's the design. They want you to think like that. They want you to act like that. And until you go to the depths of why they want you to think like that and act like that, until you do that, you won't see that that's the intention. So these images I wanted to share, and then towards the end, I'll get into what I was referencing in the last video, which was the balances and or the engine of this experience, the engine of consciousness. But I wanted to kind of breeze through real quickly how the system was designed to first break you down, and how how we see it in everyday reality. So you have the beginnings of the New World, when they discovered these primitive and savage people that needed to be civilized by the British colonial empire. So they inflicted their manifest destiny on an entire continent of people, for one example, because it went on to many other continents, or the other continents. But for example purposes, the Americas was poisoned. They were poisoned and then given this antidote called Western civilization. The people who fought that poison were killed. The people who adjusted their world to that poisonous society were brought into the society. And what happened was the society took a grip, like a parasite, on the consciousness of everybody. And they said, since this is the new world, anybody who's a part of the old world needs to be taken out. So this is why they take out people like Saddam, Gaddafi, Hugo Chavez, anybody who's speaking about threatening the system, like Malcolm X. They take these people out so that nobody can distract the people from the distractive mechanisms of society that keep you locked into that consciousness. Love, happiness, joy, reproduction, marriage, jobs, democracy, capitalism, all of this, everything that you see, Christmas, religion, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, everything that you see on a regular basis throughout your year that comes on that television, that gets propped up in those stores. People who work in the retail industry, they know what the hell this is. You know, once Black Friday is over, Christmas about to start booming. As soon as Halloween is over, you better get them damn Thanksgiving turkeys up everywhere. If you're not a part of that, something's wrong. That's what all that happy holidays, Merry Christmas shit is. That whole politically correct stuff. It's not about whether it's you should be saying happy holidays or Merry Christmas. This doesn't fucking matter. The thing is, the system itself. You're not talking about Christmas. You're not talking about these fake ass holidays. That stuff is never discussed. Because you just have to, it's like doubling down. They're double punking you. So you're arguing about some stuff and ain't even it. It's like I said, it's when they put these billboards, up talking about do you have questions? And then another billboard quarter mile down the road that says God has answers. And they're talking about Christianity. They got to commercialize it. They got to build it up so much. It's kind of like a weightlifter compensating for, having a shitty personality, or somebody buying a fancy car compensating for having, whatever it is, whatever shortcomings they have in their life. They have to build the world around them in order to make themselves look and feel a certain way. So they have to live in an illusion. So once this system of parasites realized that they have shortcomings in some kind of way, they had to level the playing field by digging everybody else into a hole. So nothing can catch any kind of momentum, movement in consciousness. The movement that you think is happening in consciousness in modern society is actually digging a hole deeper into the black abyss of nothingness, the emptiness of illusion, the emptiness of self-destructive behavior on every level. So that fluffiness that I was saying, that's the same kind of thing that needs to be amplified in the modern society, is the same kind of in like today with flat earth. Oh, welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Come on down. We're going to listen to somebody talk about something about flat earth. Welcome. Take a seat. Oh, it's so good to have you. If you're not fucking angry about this shit, at least inside, you missed the whole damn point. These people who are selling this light ass approach towards a collective enslavement are either knowingly controlled opposition or unknowingly controlled opposition. Either way, I could care less, because they are doing the work that the system needs to be done. The system needs you to be complicit. It needs you dumbed down. It needs you lightened up. It needs you complacent, soft, not angry. Come on, you have to be happy. If you're happy and then they do something fucked up, then you go from happy to hopeless. If you're angry because they did something fucked up and you realize it, you go from angry to active. You don't shut down. You step up and you do something. And the only way you can do something, and the only way you can be angry, and it's not angry in the sense of always being angry. It's angry in the sense of information. Understanding, and overstanding will give you the frequency of anger, but you don't have to activate it in your emotional body because you're just some simple ass whatever. No, anger in a sense, vibrationally. Are you vibrationally angry? Can you hear it every now and again? In my voice, yes, you can. Do you hear it all the time? No, you don't. Because it's there, but it doesn't consume my life. With other people who are in this so-called tippy top of the pyramid in this flat earth community, do you ever hear that? No, because they are not privy to the information that allows them to see how deep this program goes. And they're comfortable there. They're happy there. They don't want to do anything about how fucked up this system is. They want only some things to change. They don't want the things to change that challenge their fluffy-go-lucky, world. their creature comforts. They want to make a new mainstream media just on a flat earth. They want the system to remain the same, just instead of having a globe in the background of these local newscasts, weather stations. They want a flat earth map up there. That is what will make a lot of people happy. Just ask yourself right now, how many people would be fucking ecstatic if tomorrow it went mainstream and everything was just like wonderful. You see what kind of effect that's what people are being, softened up for. So this is another example. It's well known. So like I said, I broke down why they need to soften you up, why they need to distract you, why they need to down talk people who are coming from perspectives of the human story. Is because you need to be focused on things. You need to be focused on something that's outside of yourself. If you are empowered only because you have put your power in something outside of yourself, like a flat earth, like whatever religion, like a external savior, like an alien or extraterrestrial savior, a Bernie Sanders savior, a Alex Jones savior, a TYT savior, a Obama savior. If you externalize your reality, this is what I'm saying, it gets to the system. If you externalize your reality is inherently dead because it's inherently co-opted, and it will not be able to grow outside the level of consciousness they created for you in the first place. So what is your responsibility once you realize that? Tap into your consciousness. Tap into your people. Tap into your culture. Tap into your interpretations of this storyline. And then bring it back to the center. A lot of people don't want to do that because it means inherent change. It means you're going to change. And a lot of people don't want that to happen to their lives. A lot of people don't want to have that happen to them because of whatever. There's many reasons why. But one of the main mechanisms that keeps us from going into that kind of change and acknowledgement of our reality, both past, present, and future, is distraction, deflection, and softening everything up. So you have like this image you've been looking at for the last however many minutes. Pocahontas was not a Disney princess. They made her one. She was a rape victim. So they take something like genocide, massacre, colonialism, poisoning, biological warfare, paper genocide, rape. They take these stories, and just like the victors of war, they're the ones who write the history books. This is what's happening. Disney is that function. You got your kids watching. How many generations is it going to take for any of this information to just disappear? I was just listening to a lady talk about living in a small town the other day. She was the shuttle driver, and she was talking to a guy who'd been in that little town for his whole life. And that guy was like a brother of her teacher in school, like when she was growing up. And she was saying to somebody else that was in the shuttle, she was saying, yeah, the thing about with like he knows in my family, I know his family. The thing with living in a small town is that it takes like 5 generations to break what those previous 5 generations did to your name. So your name will be basically information. If somebody 5 generations ago did something and they have your name, then it's going to affect you in a small town for the next 5 generations. What she was saying is that, what I'm saying is that the same thing happens with information, historical facts, data overall. They bank on this shit. They don't know. They can do the most fucked up things like 9/11. They can do the most fucked up things forever. Because they know there's a certain amount of time where people are just going to be like, I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. Let's just move on. And people are like that because they are not connected to their history. They're not connected to their culture, their wisdom, their peoples. They're not connected to anything that's real. Hence heliocentrism. Because this is about time. This is not about anything else other than time. Everything exists inside of time. The system itself is the time that is being consumed. Are you consuming it, or is the system consuming your time? If the system is designed to consume your time, then it is designed to consume your life, your consciousness, your expansion, your ability to grow. So, little systems need to be put in place in order to maintain those control grids. So you see this right here. Everybody arguing about Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff. That is like the flat versus globe stuff. You're not getting into the systems, the origin of this programming. Why does this image exist? Why is there a white privilege? Why is there a white supremacy? Why is there a genetic gentrification? Why was there eugenics? Why was there all these things dealing with race? You see all these things I just listed off dealing with race, and I can't see how people just kind of blow it off like it doesn't exist, like it doesn't matter. Like, are you kidding me? The civil rights was just in the 60s. Apartheid in South Africa was just enacted in like the 90s or something like that. They were lynching people in people who are alive today. In their time frame, they were burning people, murdering people by the law, covered by the law. Not that long ago. You don't think that has some kind of psychological, biological, spiritual effects on you? You think just because now that you have the perspective of humanity and flat earth that stuff's just going to go away? You're lying to yourself because that's comfortable. It's safe there. So groups like or movements like Black Lives Matter gets out there in order to maintain a particular perspective. This is why they had the so-called leader / not leader of Black Lives Matter on the fucking Stephen Colbert show. So they can play a revolution for you. Oh, hey, come on. Yeah, this is a revolution. Let's invite him on our show. Hey, thanks for coming on. Back to work. Take your ass back out to the field, bitch. This is what's happening right now. And a lot of people are just acting like it doesn't exist because they ball it up. Like I said, in the New Age community, in the last video, people jump into the New Age community and they say, oh, the old person, that doesn't exist anymore. I am New Age version of me. I am an Andromedan. I am a Pleiadian. I am this, I am that. And then boom. Another world, another illusion, another Disney movie enacted in real life. And what did they do to the old world? They put it in a box, put it in a closet on a shelf somewhere. They balled it up. They generalized it. They forgot about it. They said it doesn't exist anymore. How's that any different than what's going on with all these other programs out there today? How's that any different than what people are doing with Flat Earth right now? Just talking about it just needs to go mainstream. We just need to just, get that, all this other stuff. It's no different. So when you generalize it, you label it, you kill it. You throw it away. It has no meaning anymore. It has no power anymore. It's dead. That's the mechanism of stealing work for generations. Stealing the expansion of consciousness for generations by distracting people. By keeping people from connecting to the laws of nature. The perspectives that empower them. So when you take all of the the lines that were written by colonists away, you'll realize that the melanated people, and you don't even have to look at that really, you just have to know that the melanated people are the majority of the people on the earth. It has nothing to do with, like when I said when you generalize it, like that's like saying black and white. It puts it on even playing. No, 9/10 of the people on the planet are melanated people. There is no black and white. There's people. There's cultures. There's history. There's our story. And there's work that needs to be done. And acting like it doesn't exist is not going to do anything with that work. This is another distraction. Trump, obviously. Think it's just a entertaining factor that they want to talk about Trump every single day, like I said in the last video. None of this shit is for your entertainment. None of this shit is for your education. It is all to have an effect on you. My question is and will always be, what is that effect? As long as this system stays alive. My question would be, what does this system, what kind of effect does this system have on you? On the people, on the individual, on the collective as a whole? How does it affect us? Because you've already discerned the fact that this is not about your entertainment. This is not your education. This is to make you feel, act, and think a certain way. Why? How does it do that? What are the effects that come from that kind of effect? So you have people arguing about this shit. Like I saw an image the other day, just today. Like this image right here. Some of y'all think Trump was out of office, y'all condition would be better. That's the design of pop culture, Western society. To make you think that things are better based upon their world for you. I saw an image today about Prince Harry's girlfriend or fiance or some shit, or whoever the prince is of the British Empire bullshit. He's got himself a mixed-raced princess now or something like that, and then you got people celebrating this shit. You have people, oh look, we finally got our Disney princess, y'all. We finally got a black girl in the castle, in the family. The fuck are you talking about? Why do you care about that? So it's just like Hollywood. On one level, they got to give you a little doggy treat. They got to put this stuff out there. They got to make you talk about all this nonsense, and you never talk about the system itself. You too busy talking about being happy that there's a not completely white person, marrying the whatever, the prince or whatever. You're not going to address the fact that there's a royal family in the first place and how they became royal in the first place. And the side effects of that whole culture. You sit around listening to this TV and watching all this bullshit, which is the intent. It's the design. Same for Trump. Same for democracy. Same for capitalism. Same for all this nonsense out there. You're too busy talking about what they want you to talk about instead of talking about what you can talk about, which will address the nature, the foundation, the pillars of this system. Beyonce, these are these doggy treats. This is this positive reinforcement. Like the last video in the Gabrielle Union talking about, oh, they did a good little movie for a black little movie. Good job. You kids are just so, you're just so talented. Good job, you guys. These are doggy treats. The whole system is a doggy treat. Beyonce being Queen Bee, hanging out with the Obamas, all this other stuff. That's just to make you dumb. To dumb you down. To make you think that everything is just peaches and cream. Everything is just sweet since the civil rights came in. And you have black people in the White House hanging out with regular old Beyonce millionaire and regular old Jay-Z millionaire. with their regular old family. This shit ain't regular. This shit is nonsense. You watching cartoons. So when they say Beyonce has replaced Taylor Swift as the richest woman in music, the fact that Taylor Swift was ever richer than Beyonce is a prime example of when black parents tell us we have to do twice as much to get half of what they got. Is that an untrue statement? Hell no. It's been proving itself my entire life. I've been seeing this shit not just in my own circles, but in the people around me. Brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, mothers and fathers, grandparents, and in general, all over. I mean, in the industry, outside of the industry, every industry, music industry, film industry, education, university system. You gotta work twice as hard. And mind you, for people who are still gonna get in the comment section, I'm not saying that other people don't have bad situations, that other people aren't also, other than black, so-called black, also being a part of this mind control program. What I'm saying is that this is a very definite reality that has been existing for many centuries, that has a focus on a particular race of people. Just because it has boiled over the top of that cauldron and leaked over into your happy-go-lucky land of not being black people land, and now it's starting to infect your rivers. It's starting to infect your world. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for talking about the effects, the psychological effects that colonialism, genocide, racism, the raping and destroying of an entire people. I apologize for, mentioning that this stuff exists. Why? Because it affects everybody. Fuck you. Fuck you and your lack of ability to see what the hell I'm talking about and what other people are talking about. Kiss my ass if you have a problem with me mentioning historical facts. Now, these historical facts are not the only ones of importance, but they are of a great importance in reference to all of the other things that exist to do the same thing. Keep you distracted from addressing the system itself. Everything that I mentioned in this video prior to this moment right now that was talking about the flat earth community, the new age community, has the same exact effect on the people's ability to expand their consciousness and challenge the system as what I'm talking about right now does. Those are just different thought processes. This is a racial thought process that has been going on for a long time. And it's still alive and well. It's still in the green. It's not, see, like the globe earth, if you go from like red to yellow to green or green to yellow to red, in like a little light catalog of change or something like that, or shit being threatened to be changed. And how I'm seeing it, just for example purposes, the globe model and the new age are at least in the yellow. They were in the green when people were just loving this shit. They were just like, oh, I can't wait for the next technology to come out. I can't wait for, excuse me, the next space mission. That's being in the green. When those systems start to get challenged, then they start to move to the yellow. When they start to die, they move to the red. The New Age program, as of recent years, has gone from the last little green bar moving into the yellow, because people are seeing how full of shit this is. They're seeing how full of shit those people are. Enough time has passed. It's been publicized enough. It's been enough people are picking it up. It's starting to be seen for what it is, because it's also merging into the mainstream media, and people are already aware of that shit. Like local news, it's on the last yellow moving into the red. Mainstream media, people already know that's dead, but there's still people that watch it. Even when it's in the red, you're gonna have people who watch it. But what's going on with flat Earth in reference to heliocentrism? Heliocentrism is in the yellow. It's moving towards the red. I don't know if it's at the last bar of yellow moving into red, but it's there. It's in the yellow. It's solid. Racism, the real racism that exists inside of people's subconscious, that exists inside society, that exists inside cultures and the system as a whole, that shit is green as hell. It is all green. It is not moving towards the yellow or anything, because people are defending it by trying to deflect from it. It's still, that keeps it green. When you threaten the globe model with flat Earth, you're making that move into the red so it can die, it can kill itself. It can be like, finally, why did this illusion, why did this parasite exist in the first place? The only way you can do that is if you have some roots to root yourself in. People are rooting themselves in true science when they're observing the nature of their surroundings. So they use that as a weapon against the globe model. They use basic understandings of a world outside of the New Age propaganda and basic historical facts and how just ridiculous the New Age program is. Those are the weapons against the New Age. And it's easy. You don't even really have to do anything, because people are just going to filter through there and eventually destroy it from the inside out, which is what I did. I went through that bullshit. I thought that was the answers to the world. And then from the inside out, I realized that was all just empty. It was dead. It was another doggy treat. So I learned, I got what I needed to learn from it, and then I moved on. Same thing happened with flat Earth. You get what you need to get from it, and then you move on. It's constantly expand. With racism and that whole psychological effect on humanity as a whole, it's solid green. You got Hollywood. Look at Hollywood. Look at the white Oscars. Look at Trump and all his affiliates. They're making a joke out of it on Saturday Night Live and all these late night talk shows. That's not changing anything. It's stepping to the side. And that's not going to shift anything from green to yellow to red. It's going to allow it to expand and allow every other system around it to expand. And it'll maintain the system of haves and have-nots. Chicago officer sues family of teen he killed for $10 million because shooting left him traumatized. Like I said in the last video talking about protocol, they not only have the protocol, the right to murder people on the streets, certain people, to add on to that. When you get into understanding like what would happen, people know this. The only people who don't know that this is a reality is so-called white people. The frequency that I said of white. The people that think everything is just okay. Everything is just great. America number one. You don't have to be like that to be like that. It's a lot of people that ain't like that. That's more like that than people that's like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was right there. That was on point. I don't have to go through that again. It's people that act like that. America number one. Western civilization, sign me up. We're here. You don't have to act like that to act like that. And it's the act of acting like that that allows this system to grow. So they not only have measures that allow and protocol and laws in their crimes against nature system, they not only have laws to protect them, they got laws to make money after they have been protected. All these cops getting paid leave after they shoot somebody, going back to work after just murdering somebody? What the fuck is going on here? When are the people, the so-called truthers, ever going to talk about that shit? They can't. Because they hadn't done the work. And by doing the work is you actually do the work because you hadn't grown up in that experience, or having done the work because you've grown up in that experience. You don't have to grow up in that experience to have an understanding of what's going on there. You can do that work. You can find out. You can sympathize with what's going on intellectually, not emotionally. Oh, no. Intellectually, sympathize. You won't be able to empathize because you didn't grow up in that situation, which is why it's so hard for people to realize this and why they have to default to talking shit about people like me who reference this information. They got to default to that so as to protect their own awareness of themselves. After admitting to secretly experimenting on troops, Army refusing to provide them with medical care. You signed a contract, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with you, and they will toss you out like an old rag. This is what's happening to the veterans on the streets. This is what's happening to the soldiers who are buying into signing the contract of Western civilization. If you are accepting the so-called democracy of today, you are signing a contract. If you are accepting the so-called capitalism, if you accept this diet white supremacy, if you accept the system as it exists today that sits on the blood and the bones of the melanated people, not only in the United States, but across the world. If you accept that world and its idea of innovation and expansion into the future, if you accept that shit, you are no different than the people who are creating the systems that are designed to make people not expand out of that program, not expand out of that level of consciousness. You're no different. In fact, you're more dangerous because you're doing the work for them. This is why I come down so hard on so-called flat earth top brass who just put themselves on a TV show and start talking about whatever. Which is why I came down so hard. I normally wouldn't care because I know that everybody's going to do whatever. They're going to approach whatever kind of system the way that's comfortable for them based upon their experience. I understand that. I am very well aware of that. What I'm saying is that when the situation is verbalized to a point of saying, no, flat earth is only about this. It's only about flat versus globe. The message, these are the words of Mark Sargent. The message is ... Oh, really? It is. Tell me about that message, sir. They won't. They'll just say the word message and leave it empty to imply that the message is based upon their actions. Not only to imply the way they act, the way they approach flat earth. That's the secondary measure. The primary measure of the message that affects the people around those circles is their lack of ability to expand outside of that perspective. They won't go there. That's the effect that saying something like, as long as it doesn't distract from the message of flat earth. What that does is it tells people, hey, don't talk about anything else. You're going to have these following ass people who are just going to be like, oh, you're talking about racism. What does this have to do with flat earth? Our Lord and Savior, the Mark Sargent, said the flat earth has a message and you're distracting from it. You're divisive. Get the hell out of here with all that shit. Playing with McDonald's toys, talking about this is a revolution. Get the fuck out of here. This system inherently is a crime against nature. The system is inherently criminal in every single way. If you are not taking this truth of flat earth or 9/11 and all this other stuff and addressing the actual nature of the system itself, you playing a movie. You living in a movie, an illusion that was created by them for you to fall within. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying that if you are aware that you're playing that, then it becomes something wrong with it. It starts to work against you. Why I say it's not anything wrong with it is because I realize that there are stepping stones. I know that there are stepping stones to get from one point to another. I recognize that. And a lot of the times you have to step on these stepping stones because you have no other stepping stones to step on. You need something out of that layer of consciousness to learn from, and then you move on. If you don't, the density of that world will crush you. So for me, an example was, would I tell anybody to join the military today? No, but I was in there for 7 years. I had a break in service to where I went back after having been out for 3 years. So I was hard-headed twice. So I know these programs exist in order to, they have a big effect on us. And each one is a stepping stone. The protesting and the Occupy movement, that was a stepping stone. That wasn't the answer or my answer. No, it was a learning experience. It was a way to expand yourself. Same thing goes with, all these truther storylines, conspiracy theories. All these are stepping stones, including flat earth. The question is, what is a stepping stone moving towards in the idea of flat earth? To you individually, what is that? Because that's the story I'm talking about. It'll circle back to the people, the experiencers. You can talk of all the truth you want about the experience all you want. Is that going to help people free the enslaved minds that they have within the experiencer? No, it's not. You can talk for however many centuries about the experience. It ain't going to do shit to the experiencer in a sense of active movement. It might help them see some things here and there, but they still got to do that work. If the experiencer sees flat earth, the experience, and is still so sucked into that slave mind world, what good is it? None. Start talking about the experiencer, and it will inherently address the issues within the experience. In fact, use the experience to help people with the perspective of the experiencer, and that'll make it more impactful. It'll affect people more. You talk about one and don't talk about the other, you're just going to be imbalanced. So Canada's top court ruled that oral sex with animals is legal, but full penetration, that is a crime. This is this system. This is the legislature of this system. This is how far from nature this program has gone. Jeremy Johnson, guilty of performing oral sex on a female horse, pled guilty to oral sex with a female horse. Johnson was sentenced to 2.5 years of probation for defiant trespass and sexual intercourse with an animal. Brittany Saunier, accused of engaging in illicit acts with family dogs. An Arizona woman who allegedly confessed her boyfriend that she has sex with dogs and fantasizes about incest has been charged with crimes against nature, police said. This system is an inherent crime against nature. And they have to, the proof of this is what you are looking at right now. The fact that they have to write this stuff down in their system, the fact that they have to do this stuff is because there is no balance in this society. There is no connection with the laws of the universe. It is built on crimes of humanity, so they have to write laws within those crimes of humanity. And this is the side effect that you get. This is a crime against humanity. Nobody's talking about it. With any kind of push, with any kind of power beneath them, $2.3 trillion, 9/11. Don't ask any questions. People getting calls from the IRS every day. Every day. Where that little funky ass $400, $500, $600, $700? Where's that student loan? Where's this? Where's that? These assholes walking around with $2.3 trillion at least. Not to mention the fact that all of this is a damn illusion in the first place. $20 trillion in debt with the whole world. $2.3 trillion in house. And ain't nobody talking about that. They want you to start talking about other systems in place. Let's just make a new system. Let's just forget about, what did they do with all that money? How did that affect the families that had to pay into that system? How many people died as a result of that? Their actions in this moment and after that moment. Is this connected with the deception or the illusions of heliocentrism? You bet your ass they are. But you got to do the work yourself. So the new version of aversion, of deflection, is all of these so-called truth movements and conscious communities and patriotic whatevers and aggressive progressives, but mostly I want to stick on this so-called collective evolution website that's along, and I've made videos talking about this. It's been a while since I addressed this, but people know these websites, these truther websites. A lot of them are controlled opposition to have the same effect on people as individuals who want you to think about some fluffy perspective or new age perspective or whatever it is. It has the same effect on people. So what they do is they take complex stories and sell them back to the society with another kind of perspective attached to it that makes you think that what's happening is some kind of change for the better. Like you're collectively evolving. This is an actual website, Collective Evolution. I actually used to, when I was in that new age, breaking out of that new age sort of thought process, I used to follow the storylines in like this website, and they're all connected. They're like networked. It's kind of like if you go on Spirit Science website, some people who know we're in that caught up in that new age shit. Spirit Science, Collective Evolution. I don't know. I don't want to name any of the other ones because I haven't seen them in a while. But there's like a chunk, about 8 or 9 of them, that are definitely co-opt or whatever, government sponsored to make you think and act a certain way. So faking the moon landing isn't the conspiracy. It's what really happened when we got there. Like, what? This is on a Collective Evolution article. If that's not a confirmation for you in reference to the new age being a part of that diversion, I don't know what is. So they're getting ready to sell this through alien, extraterrestrial talk, interdimensional. This is why all that Bigfoot talk is interdimensional. Even Alex Jones getting on Joe Rogan talking about interdimensional pedophilia and aliens or something like this. Like all this stuff. there's a trend to it. There's a very definite trend. And what I'm seeing is that it's going back to obviously the alien agenda, the technology agenda, the transhumanism agenda, and the simulation theory. And what it's doing is creating another timeline of consciousness where you just give your focus, your truth away to whatever they tell you. So this allows the heliocentric model of the universe to stay afloat within the New Age community, because they're not going to question collective evolution. How many stories have they gotten that help them think and act a certain way? How many positive doggy treats have they gotten from these websites that make them feel and act a certain way? All of that, they can sell you 99, like I said, with those channelers, they can sell you 99% of love and light and beauty and amazing information. But that doesn't matter if they're selling you that last 1% or 0.01% of bullshit that keeps you locked into the overall mind control program. This is a perfect example of that. So what I was thinking the other day, I woke up in the morning, I woke up from this dream, I don't remember what it was, but I referenced this in a previous video. But what's happening with this crimes against nature universe is that they're making this synthetic universe. So it's kind of like taking all of the rules and the regulations, flipping them on their head, reversing them, and making them run on like the lowest common factor, so that with the remaining pebbles of energy, consciousness, focus, whatever it is in the collective, they can harvest that. They can live off that. They can possess that kind of mentality. This is my theory on why, not my only mine, obviously from other people have seen this the same way, but they harvest. This parasite can only survive if the host is alive and well and unknowing of the presence of the parasite. So this is why you're distracted so much. This is why there's so much deflection. This is why there's so many different compartments. The system is so compartmentalized to where you can't even pin anything down. You're just stuck in this loop of defense against this ridiculous situation. And what's happening is this crimes against nature system, it's kind of like making you walk through your existence one step at a time, like I was saying in the last video in reference to checkers and chess, and in the 3-tiered chess game. You're stuck walking this checker game. You're not even allowed to get into the complexities of the combustion engine that is your consciousness. So the only way you get in, they have a way to stop you from doing that too, which is this whole truther movement and conspiracy theory movement, which says like, oh, well, you know, you're doing a good job fighting the system. That's where all these that collective evolution website is like, good job, keep fighting the system. Like Black Lives Matter, the Occupy movement, they treat it like that. Just put these little things out there, let them fight. Democrats and Republicans, let them fight each other, make it look like they're doing something, but ultimately they'll never question the system itself. Just keep up the good work. So as long as you're focusing on that, you're walking through your life. You're never turning on the engine of your experience, which is the basic elements of your reality. So when I woke up the other morning, I was thinking like, oh shit, like this is just like a combustion engine in a sense, to where you have the earth, you have the fire, you have the water, you have the air, and you have the universe or the consciousness to move that energy around, to start to spark that, whatever that is, to allow you to drive in the experience, the ethers. So all of this is like broken down to the basic elements. They lock everything up. Your air, your water, your earth, your fire, everything is locked up. and you can't get to it. The natural versions of it, the versions that the indigenous people were already tapped into, which is why they labeled them primitive and savage and continue to destroy their land and the peoples. So in a combustion motor, you need air. You need air pressure. You even need an air pressure in your tires. I mean, all these elements. You need the air to allow a space for the spark to spark from the spark plug and the fuel, and so you need all of these elements to create a bigger movement. What happens is that the system has control over the elements, so you're not even aware of the bigger movements. You're not even aware of your power and potential within that system because you just let it go. You never knew of it. But once you break that synthetic engine down, you have the responsibility not to ask them to put their old engine back together and be better and promise this time, promise you'll be okay, promise you won't be such destructive genocidal maniacs, pretty please. No. That's that single player chess game or single layer chess game I was talking about. It's breaking out of the checkers, making you think that you won the game. Like that's what Obama was. Oh, you won. You got your first black president. No, he's a fucking puppet. They wanted you to think like that. They wanted you to act like that. And then eventually, so you can just shut your mouth for 8 years. It's the same thing as all the other stories I was referencing. But the thing is, you break out of that and then you say, well, if they created this combustion engine through consciousness and controlled an entire plane of people, like, then what responsibility do I have in that realm of creation? What potential do I have in that realm of creation? And then you start tapping into the elements, the laws of the universe, the balances of nature. You start tapping into your air sign, your earth sign, your fire sign, your ether, your water. And you start activating your own motor. You create the coolant system with the water. You create the spark with the fire element. You create the earth itself is the platform, and it creates the elements for you to create that conscious, or to create an experience of that consciousness. You have the air that allows the space between everything else, allows you to breathe. It's your lungs, your carburetor. If you don't have the right air pressures in the carburetor in your tires, you're going to go flat. You're going to go slow. If you don't have the right air pressure in your carburetor, you're not going to get that spark. You're going to either flood your carburetor. You're not going to get any kind of movement at all. And if you're not smart enough to turn the key and realize that you have to put all these elements together, the consciousness to do something with all of these elements, the ethers, then nothing's going to happen. This is all hard work that people are doing, whether they are realizing it or not, in their own time, in their own way. And when people are kept from that work, you inherently create slaves. So once you inherently created those slaves, the only thing you need to do is create another distraction, another world for them to build a synthetic combustion engine within. This is the ego world of pop culture, Western civilization, where people build themselves up with a fancy car, a fancy social media presence, a fancy house, fancy relationship, job, whatever it is. But they're empty. It's not them. It's outside. That's what all this fake societal bullshit is. They're creating another universe, another synthetic universe. And in that universe, the rules within that universe don't exist, first of all, because they're all made up, like these theories in the heliocentric programming. But the main point is that you don't connect to your natural systems, and you fall subject to a universe based upon crimes against nature. And that's what's happening in this world right now. And until we realize all these various layers of this system, we're not going to be able to do anything about it. And by sharing this information, this is my version of step one, is to make sure before we actually make any forwards, like steps, before you make any steps, and people are going to step anyway. It's not like me saying things that make any difference. What I'm saying in the larger scheme, it's going to help people just be more aware of what's going on and realize like how they're stepping. But the thing is, like, you have people that are already talking about stepping. You have people talking about Bernie Sanders. Get Bernie Sanders in the president, everything gonna be okay. Get Obama in the presidency, everything gonna be okay. Make the globalists talk about whatever, they're gonna be okay. Everything will be okay. Make them talk about whatever, and you still externalizing your reality. So I think I pretty much referenced it enough. That's what I really wanted to talk about in this video. And yeah. So thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.